Hello there, Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, founder of Crawford Performance Solutions, and I've created this short video to give you a sense of who I am as a speaker and corporate trainer so that you could decide whether I would be a good fit for your next event or to come and create a training for those within your organization. Now, the traditional way of doing that would be for me to go on and on about the fact I got 26 years experience, a Ph.D., written 4 books, done 2 PBS specials, but frankly, you can read all about that in my bio, and I know you're busy. Now, I want to do just 2 quick things. Number 1, talk about what I've learned over the past 26 years, and most importantly, what it can do for you, or how it could be valuable to those at your next event and or those within your organization. What I've learned is that everything we think or feel or do or say is controlled by how our brain processes information. And therefore, if we want to become more influential in our lives, how we do our jobs, how we communicate with others, how we think, feel, etc., we've got to be able to influence that process. Let me show you what I mean. Most people have heard at one time or another that we've got basically 3 parts to the brain. Lower part of the brain is called the brainstem. This is where our fight or flight responses are located. It's the part of the brain that regulates our muscle tension, heart rate, blood pressure, etc. Middle part of the brain is called the limbic system. This acts as a gatekeeper, almost like a scanner and a router. It scans incoming data and either routes it down to the brainstem or up to the upper 80% of the brain, the neocortex, where we have access to our interpersonal skills, problem-solving skills, clarity, confidence, creativity, etc. Again, this is how it all works. Data comes in from our 5 senses and it is first scanned by the limbic system. If the limbic system doesn't see a problem, there's a remote here in my hand, no problem. Sends the data on up to the neocortex, brainstem works in the background, regulating breathing, muscle tension, heart rate, everything's fine. But if the limbic system senses anything it doesn't like, or anyone it doesn't like, anything or anyone it has determined to be a problem, or a stressor, or a threat of any kind, it sends the data immediately down to the brainstem, bypassing the neocortex. Now, the problem here is now the brainstem can only do 2 things, fight or flight, which means blood pressure goes up, muscle tension goes up, heart rate goes up. We get ready to strike out or withdraw, that fight or flight response you've heard so much about. In the latest brain research, this is actually called downshifting because it happens so quickly. And if you've read any of Daniel Goleman's work on emotional intelligence, he calls this neural hijacking. But regardless what it's called, what we need to know is that this has the brain bypassing the most intelligent, capable, purposeful part of who we are. Now, this would be perfect and is perfect in a fight or flight situation. I mean, if you're walking down the street and somebody jumps out at you from the bushes, you don't want to have to stand there and go, somebody just jumped out at me from the bushes. Wonder what I should do. You know, hit them, run away, do something. In a fight or flight situation, this is perfect. The problem is we are engaging this lower 20% of the brain in non-fight or flight situations. Plus, people don't really understand what's going on here. You see, this blood pressure, muscle tension, heart rate actually is a chemical change in our body, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. These chemicals then manifest themselves as stress, frustration, anger, apathy, fight, or flight, which would be bad enough if that's all it was, but what happens is we try to deal with life from this perspective, and we can't because the difficult people and the difficult situations we find ourselves needing to deal with require our best thinking. So when we try to deal with them from this lower part of the brain, we're just not very good at it, which means we become more stressed, more frustrated, more angry. The limbic system goes, aha, more negative data sends it right back down to the brainstem, and we become trapped in this lower 20% of the brain. This particular response generally shows up in one of 2 ways. You've seen those people with a bone in their mouth that says, I'm right. That's that anger, frustration, resentment. Or some people just go, I don't care. I'm out of here. I give up. It's all over with. Just beat me now. I call this the world of the undermined because it is under the rest of our mind. And it's where people feel undermined by all of those stressors in their life. And again, the problem isn't that this happens every once in a while. The problem is this becomes a lifestyle, and many people find themselves trapped in this lower 20% of the brain, having no clue what's going on, and certainly having no clue about what to do about it. Therefore, what I have done over the last 25 years is created a system that is designed to show people what to do and what is going on, Or more specifically, how to know when we're trapped in this lower 20% of the brain, and actually how to shift from there up into the neocortex, where we have access to the skills we need to succeed. I call this new system, this three-part system, life from the top of the mind. Let me give you a little less technical explanation. Basically, what we're wanting to do is access this upper 80% of the brain, because this is where the qualities we need to succeed come from. Our ability to make plans, choose language others can hear, solve problems, our judgment, our clarity, our confidence, our creativity all come from this part of the brain. And when we are up in this part of the brain, the limbic system, brainstem, work very nicely in the background, regulating our blood pressure, muscle tension, all as well. The problem comes when we start dealing with situations that the limbic system perceives as a problem. Difficult people, deadlines, lack of money, lack of time, because it engages this lower 20% of the brain and numbs the upper 80%. That's why if you've ever tried to give data or be rational or tell someone who's upset to calm down, calm down, don't tell me. See, this part of the brain does not want to calm down. That's why they can't hear the data you're trying to give them. It's actually literally going over their head. Now, the problem again is this limbic system brainstem engage certain responses, reactions. We get angry, stressed, frustrated, defensive, resentful, apathetic. And when we try to deal with life from this perspective, life gets worse. Deadlines become more problematic. Difficult people become more difficult. The limbic system goes, aha, more negative data, and again, sends it right back down to the brainstem, and we find ourselves trapped in this lower 20% of the brain. What we need is a new perspective on life, something that allows us to access all of these qualities, and not just our intellectual qualities, but our compassion, our ability to care for ourselves and others. You see, this isn't just an intellectual model. It's about how to bring our best to life. I said it was a three-part system. I've put it in the form of a roadmap that will help us go from where we are, trapped in that lower 20% of the brain, to where we want to be. Part one is actually where I teach a behavioral model, something you can do anywhere, anytime, takes about 10 or 15 seconds, that is guaranteed to actually have you shift from that lower 20% of the brain to the upper 80% and change the chemical makeup of your body from adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol to serotonin and endorphins. Now that would be good, but if we stopped there, then when you went back into the situation, you'd fall back into the brainstem. So I've created part two. This is where I bring in my C-cubed clarity, confidence, and creativity model. This is about how to stay in this upper 80% of the brain and apply these qualities and characteristics to all aspects of life. Part three is what I call graduate school, because this is tough, right? I mean, it's one thing to deal with a printer or traffic or a deadline. It's another thing when someone is right in your face. So what I teach people in part three is how to engage others who may be upset with them, may be resistant to what they're saying, in such a way where those others shift from their brainstem to their neocortex so they can hear the data you're wanting them to hear. This is an excellent perspective because it allows me to address almost any topic, any outcome, any theme of a conference. For instance, if you want me to talk to your leaders, I can show them how to access their best, avoid stress, by shifting to this upper 80% of the brain, this clear, confident, and creative part of the brain. Plus, the aspect of, the visionary aspect of being a leader is all about engaging these frontal lobes. Also, leaders have to be able to bring out the best in others. And sometimes, have you noticed, those others aren't always receptive to the leader's message. This is where part three comes in, and I show leaders how to engage others so they shift from that resistant brain to that receptive brain so that the others can actually hear what the leaders are wanting them to hear and act on their instructions. If I'm talking about innovation, I can show where creative thoughts come from. I can also show people that when we allow the daily annoyances to bug us, stress us, throw us into that lower part of the brain, we actually block the ability to think creatively. Same thing with productivity, communication, conflict resolution, team building, sales, feedback skills for supervisors, safety, time management, creating a purposeful culture. See, all of these I can address because all of the success in every one of these topics comes from that upper 80% of the brain. People tell me they love this framework because finally someone has given them some hard science, not just soft skills, that explains what's going on. A concrete system that allows them to be more productive, be more successful in communicating with their colleagues, be able to influence their lives and the lives of others. This is what I teach when I will come and speak to your organization. A way to engage this part of the brain so that we can finally be able to bring our best to life. The one secret that people need to know that will finally help them understand what's been holding them back. The one piece of information that will allow them to stop blaming themselves and the world around them. That secret, that one piece of information that we all need to know, is that we can't be successful at anything unless we're coming from the top of the mind, that upper 80% of the brain. This is what I have to offer. If you believe that this would be valuable to those at your next event and or those within your organization, I encourage you to contact me. I feel confident that 10 minutes on the phone with me, you'll know whether I'm your guy. I hope this has been informative and entertaining, because I think it's important to recognize that information like this has to be presented in a way that is both engaging and enjoyable. That's why I bring a lot of humor and a lot of energy to all of my presentations. So much so that people tell me that I remind them of Steve Martin. I think it's the gray hair, but hey, I always take it as a compliment because it means they've been entertained as well as informed. Again, I hope this has been valuable for you. If you believe this would be valuable for those within your organization or those at your next event, I encourage you to contact me. You can call me at toll-free 1-888-530-8550. You can shoot me an email at drbill@billcphd.com. That's 888-530-8550 or drbill@billcphd.com. Or you can just go to my website, billcphd.com, and contact me from there, or just Google Bill C. Ph.D., and I promise you I'll show up on the first page. Again, I hope this has been helpful. I wanted to make it short. I know you're busy, but if you believe this particular information would be valuable to those at your next event, I encourage you to contact me. I would love to be able to teach those within your organization, those at your next event, this new information. Not just soft skills, but hard science. How to interact with life in such a way that no one can stress them out, jerk their chain, rattle their cage, and how to bring more clarity, confidence, and creativity to everything they do. If that would be valuable for you, for those at your next event, please give me a call, shoot me an email. I'd love to talk with you. Thanks so much.